Did the opening surprise you at all? Before you click play on this video, what did you expect to see? I mean, it's not normal for the intro video to be upside down or black and white or have an eerie background music. So, I'm guessing that wasn't what you expected. Isn't it funny that we don't even realize the expectations we have?
Expectations are like our internal navigators. They shape how we think things will go. What we eat, when we'll sleep, how we feel, even how we feel God will show up in our lives.
It's the same and true for cross-cultural trips. We all go to short-term trips with expectations. Some we know, some we don't even realize are there. And if we're honest, we all have expectations, whether big or small. Others we hold loosely, but others more tightly. And some expectations excite us. Some expectations cause us to concern and anxiety.
Yeah, and here's the twist. When crossing cultures, your internal navigation is going to be a little bit off, but that's okay. The key is to know what your expectations are. So when things are a bit different, you're at a healthy place to start processing. Take being here at the Hawker Centre in Singapore. It's so full of food. It's an open-air food centre, and it's nothing like what we have where I live in North Wales. Our menus here that are in so many languages I've never seen, and the flavors are so varied, and there's so many spices, whereas for Wales, mild curry is kind of spicy.
In Philippines, we put chili almost everywhere. We put it in vinegar, we put it in soy sauce, we put it in fish sauce, we put it on soups, and some even eat chilies on its own. So mild curry like this are like warm hugs to us.
I don't know why you find warm hugs to be something that causes you sweat and tears. But to be real, when I came here for the first time, I was so lost. Everything was moving so quickly, people were shouting, passing through quickly. People were putting tissues on tables to reserve seats. This is the system.
That's so true. It's tissue pocket diplomacy. It's so real here.
It's a bit overwhelming. I was expecting that getting food would be a calm and orderly experience. Instead, it was loud, hot, and so fast-paced, I felt so awkward. I didn't even know where I should be standing.
So, how did you learn to manage your expectations?
Well, to be honest, I learned to ask other people for help. I learned to look and see what other people were doing, and I learned I had to laugh at myself a bit. I also saw that it's a moment where I learned that cross-cultural experience is not all about the big spiritual moments. Sometimes it's about choosing humility when waiting in line for chicken rice.
I also have other stories to share, but for now, let's hear from a few others about their experiences on expectations in their cross-cultural trip.
We literally went to our first country of service not knowing a single word of the local language, except being able to count from number 1 to number 10. And I think that tells me my expectation, I think, was rather naive, that like, oh, everyone speaks English.
Everyone has their own accent, has their own grammar, in speaking English, in communicating. The first 2 months when I get to Hawker Center, which is like a canteen, like local canteen, I cannot communicate. They speak English to me, I speak English with them, but in Thai accent, in other countries' accent, like many times I have to call my husband to help me, just ordering food.
At the end of the day, you're processing and your head is completely full and overloaded with all kinds of stuff because you have different cultures and different languages and everything is different and you can't just communicate in your own language. So it is very cool and a great experience, but also very intensive. And maybe that's also what an expectation I didn't had is like, your head is full. Your head is completely full at the end of the day, and it's a lot.
I got sick while I was on a short-term trip, and I didn't think I would. I thought I had a stomach of steel, and I ended up having to stay back from. We were going to our sister church in Haiti, not in Limbe, and I had to stay back in Limbe in order to heal because I was too sick, and they were worried about dehydration within the for the sun dehydrate me even more than I was. So I had to stay back. So I thought like I was going to be okay, that I wouldn't get sick, that I would, because I was gone for just a week. And I thought like, what could happen in a week? I think I just had expectations that everything was going to be so great and I'd be able to help these people and I wouldn't get sick. But, you know, there's really spiritual attacks even on a short-term trip. And I didn't really realize that.
I think coming out for a set term was definitely an expectation. My wife and I had planned to come out for a year, and then because of some kind of visa issues, it ended up being 9 months. But about halfway through that, we started to feel like maybe we're going to stay longer. And so the initial expectation of coming as a short-term worker for a set amount of time was just blown up. And so we've been in Thailand ever since our short-term placement. And so I think also having thought back on what we were told we were going to do versus what we actually did in the placement wasn't exactly accurate. It was fine, but there were definitely some unmet expectations just in terms of what we thought we'd be doing and what we ended up actually doing.
I think I had quite a wrong picture about Southeast Asia. I only had stereotypes about it being a mosquito-infested jungle and everybody's poor. I think this was kind of my picture, and it will be mostly a survival in maybe interacting with some people and going through crocodile-infested waters or whatever. But actually there are quite a lot of people living here, which sounds logically, but yeah. I had to learn that, I mean, people are living here, so whatever problem I have, there will be people that can help me solve it, and yeah, that was quite calming, I guess.
So, what happens when you face challenges? Maybe things don't go as planned, or maybe you're feeling frustrated. We encourage you to pause and ask yourself, where is my heart in this? What am I trusting in? What am I worshiping? What do I think I must do in order for this trip to be a success?
It's easy to bottle up unmet expectations and let the moment pass. But in doing so, you might miss an opportunity to notice what God is doing in your heart. So take time to process, talk with a teammate, a mentor, a field host, and you'll see things from a new perspective and have a chance to grow.
Remember, God has you on this journey not just to bless the nations, but also to mold and transform you into the image of Christ. But here's the thing, His plan often unfolds differently than what we expect.
Jesus was the master of flipping expectations. People were expecting the Messiah to come with swords and a battle plan.
And instead, He came washing feet and eating with outcasts. What a surprise. And think about Simon and Andrew expecting a life of fishing until Jesus came and said, "Follow me."
Think about Martha, who thought Jesus would prioritize service over coming and sitting at his feet.
When you travel across cultures, it is a guarantee that not everything will go the way you envisioned it. And that's okay. One of the most essential cross-cultural skills is learning to be flexible.
Actually, one of the biggest daily stressors was not knowing if my public transport would be on time. And I'm a super planned out person, if I need to be somewhere, I have at least a 5 to 10 minute margin of being late. There's no, I'm either 5 to 10 minutes early or I'm 5 to 10 minutes late. There's nothing beyond that. But with public transport, you don't get such luxury. And I think it just grinded my gears because that was a daily occurrence where it's oh my gosh, for some reason, all the buses today are just not operating. Or my bus today is just not coming and I need to take this specific line, but for some reason, this specific line is delayed. And then now it's I have options A and B to take the long route, but the long route might take me another 20 minutes extra. But it's but but do I have to wait 20 minutes? And you're always kind of weighing that out in my mind. And I realize now why like a lot of Asian cultures aren't type A with like arrival time. It's because like they have to work with public transport, and public transport is not always perfect. And there's going to be like people are just late because they're late, or people plan ahead super crazy in order to like make things work. And I'm like, oh, I've never had to do that in my life, to either be that planned, even though I like to plan, I'm not that planned, or even to be that flexible then in the moment to say, you know what, it's okay if I'm late. Oh, it's okay if like my bus doesn't show up today. It's okay if I have to go back and walk back to my apartment and just grab my like bicycle and just bike instead of taking the bus. And that was just a daily occurrence where it's like, you just kind of didn't know at times. And so that was like the biggest test of flexibility, was public transport.
The thing that I find really tough is when there is a rigid schedule and then it gets changed. The fact that it's very clearly flexible to start with makes the changes easier to deal with. But even so, when it's flexible and I have something planned in my head and then someone goes, oh no, we're doing this instead, that can be tough for me personally to adapt to.
It's just an easy word to throw around, but it's really hard to do, I think. It's intentionality of how you're feeling today, you know, how you're feeling, you didn't get enough sleep. You maybe check yourself and how you come across and how can you be helpful. I think when you take your mind off of yourself, you focus on others. I think that will help you not to think of woe is me, how you come across, like posturing your heart before the Lord and before others. And that's hard to do. It's not easy. I can talk about it, but you know, it's because we're human. We have those days where we just don't feel like doing it.
I always share this quote from my mentor who's on the field for over 20 years. And she would say, "Blessed are the flexible, for they will not be bent out of shape." Yes, and so that clicks with people, and they remember that when in the heat of the moment they're like, oh, this is not what I signed up for.
I think many people, their temperament and their personality is they really like order, they like routine. When they go to church, they like to know that everything is flowing in a schedule. And my experience in Thailand is it is messy. In other words, the whole kind of take it easy type culture, the fact that people come late, the fact that you cannot rely on people scheduling and actually fulfilling projects on a timely manner, that's a big shock for someone, particularly if you're a fairly controlling person. Then my encouragement is get ready for messiness.
Coming from a culture like in the US where we highly value productivity and busyness, and going into a culture that values more presence and relationship, a lot of flexibility was required in terms of how I see ministry. I think in the US where I come from, it's all our ministry is scheduled. Our meetups are scheduled, our meetings are scheduled, even how we run children's ministry is scheduled, like our order of service is scheduled. But when I was on my trip in this culture, the way we did ministry was a lot more relational. So a lot of it was just sitting with people on their front porches and being present with them, experiencing the senses of this world with them, and even like sitting in the quietness. And it was a really big test of flexibility, I think, because I wanted to do something. I didn't feel like I was studying the Bible with anyone or intentionally reaching out. But what was important to them was to know that I was someone that wanted to be their friend, and that happened just by being present with them. And so I had to really flex in terms of what I thought was productivity, what I thought was meaningful ministry. And it was a pretty big challenge, but I think that's what it means to cross cultures and be flexible in terms of what I expect.
I think flexibility just opens doors. If you're flexible to drive in this traffic, if you trust yourself to do this, you can be much freer in a Southeast Asian city, especially if you're living longer there. And you might prove to be less of a burden to the hosts. If you are flexible about spicy foods, you can eat more and try more foods. If you're flexible about certain diets you have, maybe you are vegetarian mostly, but at some points you don't want to offend the host, so you still will eat the meat they provide for you. So being flexible, it will be a door opener for you, but I think also sometimes it is a door opener for Christ.
But in fact, when expectations aren't met, things can get messy. Feelings can get hurt, tempers can flare, entire teams can fall apart. In fact, many have had to leave their cross-cultural experiences, not due to external hardships, because of conflict within their team.
So, here's a challenge for you. How do you embody an attitude of humility, surrender, and flexibility? Not just with God, but also with your teammates, your field hosts, and the community you're serving.
So as you prepare for your journey, pray for God to shape your heart to be more adapt and ready for change and ready for His surprises, because often the most impactful moments happen in the unexpected.